comes on. Hello and welcome to the show. You are on Patriots Inside the Wire. We hope you're having a great moment right now. We are here with the Tree of Valor, my co-host, Miss Lori Egerter, with myself, Tracy Two-Step. I am a Gold Star mother. Miss Lori Egerter is a Blue Star mother, and we have a guest that is joining us. I'd first like to take a moment. We are doing a show that will reflect on 9/11, but I have to take a second because of today. And I have to put it out there to tell everyone it is better to come together and unite than to create an uproar in violence. We must all be there for one another. And 9/11 is a perfect example of what people did after that happened. And I hope that everyone out there that's listening knows that no matter which side you're on, we should never have a life that is lost for any reason. So for Kirk and his family, Mr. Charlie Kirk and his family, no matter which side you sit on, my hearts and prayers go out to that family, those children that should still have their father in their lives no matter what. So this show tonight would like to take a second to say we just don't do that, and we do not like it. So we are here to come together and unite. And in this show, it's going to be about our children, our country, the reason that we can have the freedom to say what we want. We can have the freedom of speech. And that means music, talking, but we do not at any moment have the moment to take another life. So we unite, we come together. And tonight's show about 9/11 is going to show you exactly what this country does. And tonight with the Tree of Valor, Miss Lori Egerter, you have our guests sitting with you. And all of you out there, please gather your friends and your loved ones and share this. You can interact with us direct. You can send us questions and comments direct. And we want to talk to you more about 9/11, which is approaching. And I'll say this. So out there in the world, we are known as Gold Star mothers. And what I say is it is active duty. Our children were serving, and there is a reason they did not come home while serving on active duty, as I had a combat veteran, his name, Sergeant Two-Step. Tonight, we have Mrs. Ballard with us there at the Tree of Valor. Mrs. Ballard, she is a Gold Star mother as well. I do not like that I have to sit here and talk to another mother at all. Any mother, it breaks my heart. Lori Egerter, my Southern, she's already getting me. Mrs. Lori is a Blue Star mother, meaning an active duty soldier that has served, and he's a veteran. And that's what we are. And there's a lot of us out there in this country, in our community. We want to unite and come together and understand. And tonight, Mrs. Ballard is coming to us. And, I thank you for coming to us with what you would like to share. First off, your child, the hero, the ultimate sacrifice are those who sign up on that dotted line, and very few do. And the ultimate sacrifice is the child is no longer here. And your story reflects around the time frame of 9/11. So I'd like to turn it over now to the Tree of Valor, Miss Lori Egerter and Mrs. Ballard. And you can tell me if you'd like for me to call you by your first name or what, but I do know we have to say Lance Corporal. We have to say his name. So let's get into this a little bit. How are y'all doing? How's it going?
Doing great. And you can call me Amanda. So that's
okay. That's
what everybody knows me by. It's either Amanda or Jacob Payne or Elijah's mom or Ava and them's Gigi. So that's
I like that. The Gigi, we have something common. I love that. The
reason we really the reason that we chose to have a Gold Star Moms today, the day before 9/11, is because tomorrow, we all know the significance of that day. But then September 12th, it's like the world forgets that for everyone in the military, the horror was just beginning. So I don't want people to forget that September 11th is over, but the tragedies after that day were the thousands and thousands of military members that we lost, including her son, which I'm going to hop over here.
Right now, Lori Egerter she is at the Tree of Valor itself, and she's actually holding up a picture beside Amanda. Amanda, tell us about this beautiful picture.
This is my son, Lance Corporal Christopher Phoenix-Jacob Levy. He's a member of the Lumbee tribe, and also, as you can tell, as United States Marine. Yes. And 9/11, although at the time he was just 11 years old. How can I explain it? When you think about 9/11 day, I was pregnant, just coming into the world, when all this was happening. And so when you meet them or you go to a school and you talk about 9/11 now, they have this look on their face like, well, that was 24 years ago. Why are we worried about it now? Well, the simple answer to that is because my son at 11 years old, when everything happened, all he could think about was he wanted to get the one that caused the Twin Towers to fall. What piqued his interest was when the Pentagon was hit and they were cleaning up. He saw a Marine out there in their dress blues cleaning up and going through debris, and he was like, look at that, Mom. He cares, even though he's not supposed to mess his uniform up. And I looked at him at 11 years old and very hugely pregnant at the time, and kind of laughed at him and said, by the time you get old enough to go, this mess will be over. Because in my lifetime, we had things like the Persian War and stuff, nothing major, so I would have not expected it. But when he graduated,
and so Jacob is 11. He was 11, and
he was 11.
He was 11, and I recognize this story. Many people, including me, say that their kids literally looked at them. I was driving mine to football when they looked and said, I'm going to join, after seeing exactly what you're talking about. And that was the uniting of coming together on 9/11. You're 9/11, you're 11-year-old. It's like, I'm going to join now after witnessing what they saw. And so 9/11 actually led into a lot of us who are around the same age. Our children decided, when we grow up, we're joining for that very reason.
Right.
And that is what we have
Jacob
here.
Being that age, and him being that age, to him, he knew that when he saw someone, in uniform, whether it's, military, law enforcement, first responders, it was like the heavens opened up to him. They were such a role model for him. And so you want the kids to have positive role models. And for him to, be in middle school and, be in ROTC. He actually started off in a Marine Corps ROTC. And in high school, he ended up being in the Army ROTC. And it was like, Mom, this is nothing like the Marines. I said, don't worry about it. It's okay. You can get to where you want to. But again, when I'm thinking of him at 11 years old, at 11 years old, I was not thinking about trying to fight for a country or hunt somebody down that had done something to us. I was 11 years old thinking about my next, that I wanted to get to my collection and things like that. And as bad as it sounds, I was thinking about me, not everybody else. And so that was one of the things that I pride myself about Jacob, was he always thought about others. And like I said, when he graduated and he left for Paris Island and stuff, I was truly thankful and blessed that he was stationed at Camp Lejeune, which was only a few hours away from home, so he could come home often. But then
it's amazing.
At the same time, what were we looking at? We were, us now still having problems with the Middle East. What were we going to do? And he left for his first deployment, kind of like what they called the Muse ship, trying to get their sea legs and everything with the Navy. And I just remember getting a call, and he said, Mom, we're going into combat. And, laughing about, I'm going to get that $15,000 signing bonus. And I'm thinking, son, you got to come home first before you get the bonus, because those are things that, they're telling them, well, if you do this, you get this bonus. So I've got this, 19-year-old kid that he's seeing dollar signs, and I'm like, just come home, be safe, come home, pay attention. Yeah. And, I'm thinking, what in the world is going on? He can't call as often. And as a mom, I've let my son go off with complete strangers that are now, supposed to be his family, supposed to protect him. And as you know, and as Lori knows, you don't sleep. And I remember one of the things he was telling me, he said, whatever you do, don't watch the news. And
that's right.
I was like, okay. And all this was going on. And then the next thing I know, I'm hearing on TV that Bin Laden is dead. And it was like 10:32 p.m. watching the president and them talk about he was dead. And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, then I get a phone call from Jacob, and he's like, Mama, we're coming home. And I'm like, Bin Laden's dead. And, the code name was Geronimo. And, because we're talking about how cool it was to have the code name being Geronimo because we're Native and everything. And he was like, I know. And I was trying to get him to tell me stuff. He's like, I can't talk about it. I just want you to know we're coming home. But, I'm like, when are you coming home? And it was just, he said, we'll be there soon. And it was, he came home Mother's Day, 2011. And I remember just waiting at Camp Lejeune, waiting for that bus to come through. If you know anything, it's, it'll be another hour. It'll be
or another day.
Minutes. And we just waited. And I remember seeing him get off the bus. He had a beer in one hand and a cigarette in the other hand. Had just took a draw off the cigarette. And I just yelled. I was like, Jacob Levy, what are you doing? He was like, but then he hit me all on. You can go fight for your cigarette. I don't care. You are home. That's all that matters. And to sit and listen to him and his little brothers at the time, to them, again, the heavens had opened up. Their hero was home, and we just, it was Mother's Day. And I asked Mother's Day. And he got home and we made sure he took a shower because he hadn't taken a shower in a while. We were getting out his bath, and he was showing, he said, Mom, here's the compound that Bin Laden was in. He said, I was right over here. I said, I got 11 years old, set a goal to be a part of something, and look at you, you did it.
Wow.
And it was amazing. I still trying to clean out an attic, and it's all these years.
Yeah.
But during that time frame that he was home, I noticed that my little boy had changed.
Yes.
He was no longer the little, country boy from Ramsor, North Carolina that, just liked to go out and hunt and goof off with his buddies. His look was different. What he was thinking about was different. And I remember him telling me that he had volunteered to go back with another platoon as combat replacements. And I was like, you do understand what the word combat replacement means. You are replacing those that have been injured, that's not returning, that's already been killed. He's like, yeah, but I'm not done. I've got guys over there and I've got a mission to finish.
Yeah.
And, I'm sitting there and I'm like, son, you're not scheduled to go back until February. Why can't you wait? He said, because Mom, he said, my mission isn't like everybody else's. And I'm sitting here listening to this, 20-year-old boy that I remember, couldn't break up with his girlfriend unless I talked to him. Now all of a sudden you're, thinking about a mission. You've got to go and help people that you did, and wanting to protect people that don't know him, never will know him, except for by the stories that I tell, his brothers tell, his Marine brothers tell. That's the only way they'll ever know him. And he didn't think twice about making sure our home front was safe so we could, sleep at night.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So I did not know a couple, like 2 years ago, she asked the Tree of Valor to go to the powwow in Jacksonville. We did not have any Native Americans except for Jacob and Jacob Bear. It was really all we had. And so we did some research to we didn't want to go to a powwow and not have a tree, right? So we took a bunch of other trees and a new powwow tree, a new Native American tree. And I remember learning through that. I had no idea how fiercely patriotic Native Americans were until she explained, or someone explained to me, we already lost our land once.
Right.
I mean, it gave goosebumps.
We fought for the country before it was ever a country, and I think that was one of the things Jacob always thought about. He said, Mom, our ancestors' blood is already in this dirt, and I'm just trying to protect it even more. And I'm like, again, where did this all of a sudden 20-year-old grown man come from that, I couldn't get to carry the trash out for, and now he's creasing his clothes and, smoothing out the bed. And
right. So this is Lance Corporal Phoenix-Jacob Levy right there. That is his picture. He's more than a Marine. He's a son, a brother. He's a hero whose courage carried on in everyone that he touched. And then so tonight we want to honor, as you're listening, on 9/11, America was tested, literally. And then there was the fire, the heroes that were forged forward. And as that comes, we stand with the families. We've lost loved ones that day and now every day, which ties right back to Lance Corporal. I love his name, by the way. Beautiful name there. I love the name Phoenix. So we have to always say their name. Is there a particular name that you like to say? Do you like to say Jacob or Phoenix, or?
Jacob is what I've always called him. And you talk about 9/11 and the connection that people have with 9/11. Again, Jacob at 11 wanted to do something, but the high school he graduated from, Eastern Randolph High School.
This is a crazy story.
Sandy Bradshaw, she was one of the flight attendants on Flight 93. She graduated with my brother.
Oh, wow.
And so when you go to the high school, she is on one wall. And as you look across the hallway, Jacob's picture is there. And so I stand there often to think this is a 10-year difference.
Look at the, I have to pull this up. This is the pictures that others are trying to understand. Like, if you've forgotten, I don't know how you can forget. But as you're talking about it, I wanted them to understand that even the flight attendant and everyone on the plane, everyone everywhere matters. I'm sorry, but every life that was lost is a horrible. Look, there's the plane there. And then we have this. And this is what our children saw. They literally had this out on the news. And then we turned right around. I have that picture. And we have this picture of Jacob. So Lance Corporal in the Marines. And see, I actually did not get photos from the Tree of Valor. I actually went out, and I love this picture. And this
picture has probably been around the social media more than anybody. And Miss Sue Vaughn, she is a dear friend of mine that lives here in North Carolina, and she had pretty much, Jacob was her baby.
Did you say Penny?
Two brothers. Her name was Penny? Sue Vaughn.
Sue, not Sue Penny though.
Vaughn with a V.
Okay. Got it.
No.
Got it.
And this picture, it to me captured everything about Jacob. He had just graduated Paris Island, and all he wanted to do was for me to drive home as quick as possible so he could carry in the flag at our tribal powwow. And when we got there and he carried it in, our community presented him with an eagle feather. And of course, when he passed away, that feather was buried with him. So,
wow. We have someone serving now in the family, and they're Apache. So they wanted me to mention that. So we have someone in our family serving right now, and they are Apache. So I want to make sure that you knew that. Yes. And then I want to go over here because what happened is I was able to pull up some research, and there was actually a lot of information on the pictures I'm pulling. This one.
That's the cigarette and the beer.
Yes.
You can see he's holding his breath like.
Yeah. He's looking at you like, oh, shoot. I just got busted by my mom. Look at the buses back there. I don't think people understand like how that all works. But that picture tells everything about what you said. So I was like, oh, my goodness. And then there's this one.
Yes.
Yeah. Now that's a very different look.
His buddies would tell me that, he could be the goofiest guy in the platoon. He always made them laugh. But when it came time to having to be on patrol, they wanted to hear his flat feet behind them because he had ice water for blood, and they knew that he had their back. And, as a mom, you raise your kids, and all you want is to make sure that anytime something comes back to you, that it's a good thing about your kids. And, I haven't heard anything bad about Jacob, and people that just, I'll get a little bleep or something on Facebook, hey, I knew your son, and I know it's been, 5 years. And I just really didn't know how to reach out to you, but I want you to know, thank you, because if he wouldn't have done what he done, I wouldn't be here. And
yes,
it's like,
that is very, wow. Very, very true. And as I'm looking here, obviously this is they go in and they get
their graduation.
The graduation picture. They're always skinnier because they've been through boot camp. So
except I did know his lips. We always talked about he had full lips and graduation. That's how I spotted him in the lineup. I said, there he is. It's the lips.
Yeah. It is not easy, y'all, to spot your kid in a lineup at boot camp. I'm not kidding you. That was like, whoa. So I can relate.
We found it.
Oh, it is. And so we've got him here, and we've got these pictures. We've talked about, 9/11. I brought that up. We brought this up too, the whole timeline from 846, the North Tower, and you've got 903. Yeah. You've got the South Tower. Then you've got the Pentagon at 9:37, South Tower 9:59. You've got the flight at 10:03, and then you have the North Tower area at 10:28. And that is when we were all, and I bet you were doing the same thing, taking your kid to school.
I was actually, I had gotten a call that Jacob had a bloody nose and I had to go and pick him up. And I was like, oh my gosh, has he been in a fight? And the teacher was like, no, it just started bleeding. And again, I was pregnant with my last son, and the other one was in school. And at that point, here in Greensboro, you didn't know what was happening. So they were shutting down the major highways. We've got the big petroleum tanker field out there. They had shut that down. And when I went and picked Jacob up, I went ahead and grabbed his other brother and was like, we are going home because I don't know what's going to happen.
You know what is crazy about that? This sounds so odd, but he kind of shed blood on 9/11.
Yeah. Yep. Shed blood on 9/11. And, you know, I
mean,
but, you know, 9/11, yeah, 9/11,
it sparked.
The effects of it is just, it is still today. I mean,
right. Doesn't feel like it was that long ago.
It does. It's like yesterday, like Lori was saying, you know, when 9/11 happened on 9/12, everybody had flags outside their house.
America was tested.
And, you know,
they grabbed those.
The past few years, 9/11 comes, 9/12 comes, you're not seeing it anymore. And it's one of those things that breaks it. It tears my heart apart. And I've had people to ask, well, you know, that happened, you know, we got to move on. But you know what? We don't get to move on because I have, you know, 8 wonderful grandchildren that never met their uncle. Yeah. But they know about their uncle. They could sit here and do the interview about their uncle.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they know how proud it is. And, you know, when we drive by a flag and they go, look, Gigi, there's Uncle Jacob's flag. I'm like, yes, that's his flag. And it's everybody, you know, it's your flag. And we got to protect that flag. And there's, you know, so much happened from where 9/11 in 2001 was such as, oh, we've got to band together. And as the years have went, you know, we as Gold Star families, we're still banded together.
We are. And I like to also say survivors of the fallen. I know some people don't want to say the word Gold Star. I'm glad that you do. Lori knows me extremely well. So I've had situations where we mentor, we do certain things to help others and just lift each other up and come together and unite. And that should be that. It's like nothing beyond that except let's take care of each other. Just as they watched that on 9/11, those were grown adults that were serving that they looked up to. Like kids today are watching right now, even more so with the digital era. I mean, they have more access. So exactly what happened today, something that happened today is just sweeping the nation right now. And I'm calling for calm, unity. Remember why after 9/11 and remember how we all came together as America was tested. And we stood up, as you said, and put our flags up and stood proud and took up for one another. And that's what we have to do. And we have to remember that these kids that watched that, like Jacob, joined the military based on that. And so we need to carry that over and through. And we don't have Jacob to do that, but we have you here and the rest of your family. And so being able to be here, it's very, very, very important. And I'm glad that you are here with us. I hate the fact that Jacob is not here. Trust me, as a mother, it makes me sick to my stomach. I don't have good words, so I just not going to say the word I'm thinking. Yeah.
And you know, some of those things, and I'm sure you've thought about it. You know, if your son, my son was still here, because of their nature, even knowing the outcome, I know Jacob he'd have still went in there. There's no doubt about it. And, you know, I often mention to people, you know, to some, it's just a flag. Growing up, you know, my dad was a Vietnam veteran and stuff. And, you know, I knew about the flag. I knew how to do the Pledge of Allegiance in class and everything. I look forward to Memorial Day and Veterans Day because I got a day out of school. You know, that's what it was. And because my dad didn't talk about what happened in Vietnam.
Right. Well,
so
nobody let them. That's
Right.
horrible what happened.
but
on
then
that.
when your offspring decides that's what they're going to do, and I kind of battled with his recruiter. He had the recruiter to come to the house at 6:00. I decided to go shopping at 5:30, and because I was like, if he wants you bad enough, he'll be there when I get back. Well,
Yeah.
Jacob was smart enough to tell his recruiter, well, if you want my mom's attention, you need to show up in your dress blues. Don't come in there with your recruiter. And sure enough, the guy was sitting there in his dress blue uniform, and I was like, oh, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
They will. Those
And,
are the recruiters.
But what was interesting about this recruiter, he was actually from Czechoslovakia and had served in their military, became a citizen here in America, and was now serving in the Marine Corps. And we sat and we talked, and he was trying to tell me all this stuff that, Jacob was going to learn. And he says, and I can promise you, and I cut him off right there. I said, you can't promise me anything. You can't promise me he's not going to get hurt. You can't promise me he's not going to come back in a body bag. None of that. I said, I've got 18 and a half years invested in this. You have a couple of months from talking to him at the school. And he said, well, I can promise you we'll make a, great Marine out of it. And, I agreed to, when it came time. And of course, when it came time, they decided to change his leaving date to go a week early. And I was like, we can't do this. I got, vacation plans because I wanted to spend a week with him.
More time.
And Jake was like, well, Mom, you've got to call, the gunny. And I called him, and he was like, well, man, you understand that, he was actually ready to go 6 months ago, but we couldn't take him because he hadn't graduated. And, he's 18. He can do what he wants to. And I said, well, sir, you don't know Jacob very well, because if Mama says no, he's not going anywhere. I said, because he's going to make sure I'm okay with it. But, even then I knew
happened?
he went. I let her go.
I could have told you that answer.
Into the Marine Corps. He went,
Yeah.
and it was one of those
Marines.
things. But what is so great about it, his recruiter, they talked, and here we are 14 years this year that Jacob's been gone. And, this man either sends me an email or texts me once a month because he made a promise to Jacob that he would make sure
Oh my God.
we were okay.
Wow.
That
And so
is
that
huge.
said,
That's a stellar human.
it's
Yeah. That's not the normal. And I wish that it was, but man, that one call that you're getting is like the gift that is prayed for by many. So I am so happy that you're getting that. I love that part.
But and I'm sure you went through this when all the stuff of people, burning the flag, stepping on the flag. And, I often tell people, I said, well, that's your prerogative. But remember, you've got that right because of what my son did.
Yes. Yes.
So
We have our
remember that.
amendments.
That's why that folded flag is so important to me.
Yes.
Because you can
you're
come
right.
out here and act crazy, but it's only because Jacob, your son, so many others, we could sit here and name
the line.
ones on these trees here.
Yeah.
This is why you get to do it.
It is exactly when you sign on that dotted line and you step up and you've got your freedom of press, freedom of speech. You do not, however, have the freedom that no matter what your differences are, violence isn't the answer. You do not have the freedom to go and do and undo literally what they were serving for. So the whole reason to serve is to protect, honor, and keep us safe. Well, here in our own country, we've got to get a handle on that. Even right now, as we're sitting here talking, the ones that are watching Jacob, the ones that are paying attention that are younger, you have other children because he's a brother. So just like I talk about the siblings a lot, the siblings actually are not brought up enough. And Lori knows this, that is a huge, I want to say issue. I'll say it. I'll tell the truth. I think it's a huge issue. I think that there is not enough focus on the siblings. So
I
having
agree.
siblings, it literally pulls the whole family. Yes, as a mother, trust me, it's crushing. But to watch what happens to the rest of the family, I
Mhm.
don't think people understand. And so creating new programs for siblings is something we have got to do. So when I heard that you were coming on, and then I also heard about what happened today, and then the mark of 9/11, the tragedy of 9/11, it the strength and the courage that we gained of it is America, the spirit that we got because of that. Now, we don't need that to happen to have it. We
Right.
need to
Yeah,
understand we do not need that to happen. We do not need tragedies to remind us of what we should be doing. We
we
don't
have
need the
enough of
tragedy
tragedy to remind us.
today. We don't need these. Today, learning about Charlie Kirk from Turning Point USA, who was tragically shot and killed in Utah
Mhm.
on our own soil.
Mhm.
That is violence that should not happen. I don't care who you are, where you are,
Exactly.
what county, what state. I do not care. It is not the answer. And everything they fight for and everything they've stood for, going over into war, going over and protecting. And you're right, signing his name on that dotted line is the ultimate sacrifice. There's a blank check. You get nothing. Your child's not there. It is not okay for people to go out there and act the way that they act. They need to have more respect, and they need to understand what it really is to actually lose something that tragic, that you wake up or you're going to get run over. I mean, you've got to wake up and you've got to come together. The word is unity, in honor. Like Lori says, we see you, I hear you, and I'm watching. And I think that Jacob is the true example of, at 11 years old, watching 9/11, gets a bloody nose, comes home on 9/11. I can tell he's a fighter. So you can always tell the ones that are they're the ones that their buddies are like, we want that one at our back. Like, grab that one. So Jacob is that one. Jacob's the one that, everyone, I want Jacob. I'll go with Jacob. So Jacob signed back up to go back overseas, Amanda. And as he did that, I'm going to turn it back over to you. We left off with the exciting word. He was excited about the word. He's excited about now he's going to go relieve and help some of the fellow Marines.
Right.
And in doing so, that means he went back. Now, his first time deployed, I do want to ask this question. So when he first was deployed and he came home to you on Mother's Day, I have a similar situation. Deployed, came home on July 4th, went back. So 18 months. How long was Jacob deployed?
Jacob left in November of 2010. And then he came home Mother's Day, because again, the first part of their deployment was pretty much getting their sea legs and stuff. They were out on the ship and everything, and midway is when they got caught and they needed to come in, or they were going into combat. And like I said, he went, and when he came home in Mother's Day of 2011, they usually give them about 6 months or so to kind of decompress them before they send them back. Well, it was May of 2011. Jacob left October of 2011. So he didn't even have the 6 month period. He was, and he got over there, and some of the conversations that we had back and forth, in emails, he was just talking about how bad it was. It was just every day there was, some type of firefight. He called one day, and I'm talking to him, and he's talking real fast, and I kept hearing this little, I was like, what is that in the background? Oh, they're shooting over our head. And I'm like, get off the phone. And I'm like, how did you get a phone? He said, well, it was one of the Taliban, so we stole their satellite phone. I said, do not call me from a Taliban's phone. I don't want But I was like, get off the phone and pay attention. And of course, he emailed me a little later. He said, Mom, I'm fine. And he was just I said, you've got to pay attention. I'm fine, but again, as a mom, your child. And I know how he was. No, he's not paying attention. He's being goofy. And I didn't know how serious he was until after the fact when some of the guys were telling me some of the stories. But, I remember the next call I got from him was on November the 14th of 2011. And he just called. I was at work. He said, Mom, we're going into a hot spot. I won't be able to call for a couple of weeks. Tell everybody I love them and send underwear and beef jerky.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's what I told everybody, because I was kind of hoping he was calling to say he was coming home for Thanksgiving. But of course, that wasn't so. And, again, I did exactly what he said. I didn't want to watch the news. I didn't want to see anything. I didn't want to talk about it. Well, then the next call I got was at 12:32 p.m. on December the 7th. And I remember looking at my phone, it lit up with 11111 across it. And we were told if that ever came through, that means something had happened.
Yeah. And
then the next call would be from someone. And when I answered the next call, they asked me if I was his mom, and I said yes, and wanted to know where I was at. I said, currently, I'm at work eating lunch. And I said, what has happened? They said, we need you to come home. There's been an incident with Lance Corporal Levy. And again, just like when he called saying they were coming home from the first deployment, don't tell me to wait. Tell me right now what is going on. And, they wouldn't tell me anything. And I remember driving home, and when I, like you see in the movies, you pull up and there's the car.
Yeah.
And I just remember seeing this tall man with a lot of medals. Just it seemed like he just kept pouring out of this car. He was so tall. And we went inside, and he read the telegram that at approximately 3:15 in the afternoon, Lance Corporal Levy had sustained a gunshot wound to the head. Now, mind you, this is December the 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. So Jacob has a lot of things happening to him. That's
he's
and I'm just like, so I'm listening to him, and they're like, he's in surgery, and here's a number you can call to keep up. And I did. I called the Red Cross every hour on the hour. It was, he's still in surgery. His vitals are good. So it's just this process. Well, during all this time, I'm being told by my Keiko, hey, you need to pack your clothes, because we're going to, once they're done with him in surgery.
And a Keiko, for everyone out there, her casualty assistance officers that are dealing with the families. And that's what you're talking about. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And she said, because once they finish operating on him in Kandahar, he would be transferred to Landstuhl, Germany. And I was like, well, what does that have to do with me? And they're like, well, we're going to get you to him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and at this point I had never been out of the country, did not have a passport. So when they say they can't get you a passport in less than 6, it's a lie, because I had mine in 24 hours.
Yeah.
But I remember just, I'm packing stuff, and I'm like, well, how many days do I need to pack for? And they're like 30 days. And I'm thinking, I can't, how am I going to leave my other 2 boys for 30 days? And, sad to say, at that same time, I was going through a divorce.
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely not, I'm trying to leave my kids. I've got to leave my job. This is just overwhelming.
Yes.
And so I get on a plane, and I'm flying to Germany, and they're telling me it's like 10 degrees. In Germany, I'm like, I've never been anywhere that cold. I don't know what to do. Jacob's father, he already had his passport, so he was gone. And that's a lonely flight when you're on 8 hours, and you're crying, and you don't want to talk to nobody.
And Amanda, you're in another world too, because while you're in the airport, while you're on the plane, you're looking around at all these other people who are going about their day normal. And I bet, were you in your own head going, why don't these other people understand? Like, this is not a normal day.
Yeah, it was like I was trapped inside my own body, wanting to scream at everybody, going, stop. Do you not understand what has happened? How are y'all functioning? It's like, the world was passing by me and
Yes.
I couldn't,
Yeah.
pause it.
Yeah.
And, so I tell people all the time, Hakuna Matata means the same thing in Spanish, English, and French, because that's what I watched over there to just keep my mind occupied. And when I finally got to Germany, of course, I'm walking through this airport. I have no idea. I know that I got to get to the USO. That's someone's going to pick me up there. When I got there, I walked in and the chaplain was waiting for me and my heart sunk. And I remember he's like, well, what was your last, report? And I said, well, the last report was they had to check some vitals because he wasn't doing real well, but, they were checking. And he says, well, I'm here to tell you the only thing keeping him alive are the machines. And I just remember looking at this chaplain. I said, no, he knows mama's coming. And I said, it's not just the machines. He knows his mama's coming. And, we're driving and we're over there. We're on the Autobahn. So there's like no speed limit. And I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, you need to drive a little bit faster because I got to get there. And when I got there, his dad was already there and he comes up the hallway. And I just remember him shaking his head. And I was like, nope, not yet. Yeah. And I walked down this long hallway. And when you're walking down this hallway, looking in rooms, and there are people that half their bodies are gone.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, what am I getting ready to walk into? And I walk into Jacob's room and he's got a bandage around his head. And just like the first day he was born, when they brought him to me, I'm pulling covers off and I'm looking, he's got all 10 toes, all 10 fingers. His body is complete. He just had this bandage.
Yeah.
And on my social media, there is a picture of him that I took over there. And I remember just sitting there. And I was like, I'm not giving up. The doctor came in and told me that they had found out later on that he had a DNR, so he was never even supposed to make it to Lunsdale. And I said, again, he knew mama was coming.
Yeah.
And then they tell me that he's an organ donor. And this is stuff that I don't even know that he's done before he left. And I'm like, well, I don't want to talk about that right now. Just let me, I got to process this stuff. And I called home and I let him, everybody that I could possibly think of that he would want to hear their voice, talk to him. And I remember my mom talking to him and friends talking to him, and it will always stick in my head listening to his brother Payne crying and begging, you promised to take us fishing. You've got to come home. And I didn't have the heart at that time to tell him,
no,
he's, there won't be any fishing trips. And so after I hung up the phone and his dad told me, he said, I can't make this decision about Jacob. He said, you raised him. He said, I'm going to step out and you need to, because the decision was, do I leave him on life support and let him be sent to Walter Reed, or do I disconnect and, let him use his organs? And I just remember laying there with him and whispering to him. I said, hey, if you want me to stay, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. We got this. I said, but if you're ready, I said, your brothers and I will be fine. When I said that, I literally watched the machine slow down and water run from his eyes. And I pushed the button for the nurse. I said, we're ready. And, they did their, ceremony, a brief ceremony in there. And you still have that little bit of hope that when they're calling his name for that roll call, that he's going to take a deep breath and wake up. And he didn't. And it's one of those things that we've talked about, stuff that coincides with Jacob and things that happen. I was in labor with him for 26 hours to bring him into this world. And it took 26 hours to take him out.
Yes. Yes.
And but again, he was an organ donor. There's 7 people alive today that are living a life. And with it being in Germany, I may never meet those people because when they do the organ donation they're not allowed to tell us who got the organs. I
Oh.
know that at the time she was 42 that got his heart.
Hmm.
And she's a grandmother now. I get little bits of information, but I just don't know her name. And I'm hoping one day we'll, get to meet individuals.
That's crazy that people don't.
Yeah.
So tell us the area again. So you're where in Germany?
We were in Lundstal, Germany.
Okay.
And so
And
that's
that
where
is the area
where
that
the
someone received.
organs
7 people received the organs. So that's the
Right.
area that you're saying that you hope at some point in your life you get to know one of those 7
Exactly.
for Lance Corporal Jacob right here, Levy, and you're his mother, Amanda, on with us right now live on Pages Inside the Wire with the Tree of Valor and myself. And we're talking about your child, your son, the brother, the uncle, because we have
a friend,
to remember
is
the friend, the brother that's serving with these fellow Marines, our country. We're talking about all that. I have a message here from Frank. Frank is a good part of our family over here when it comes to us and what we do at Patriots Inside the Wire. And he says, war is hell, and that is especially true for the loved ones of our fallen. May God give all of our Gold Star families strength and comfort. I thank you, Frank. You said that very, very well. Frank has been on. Frank has a lot of information too. So you're there at the tree. You're in Germany, literally, and now you're being talked about with the organs. And now Jacob has given life to 7 other people, literally. And
literally.
then, literally. And then you, I'm going to let you say it from you. So from there, you end up doing what?
I think that particular night I sat up all night long with the gunny that was with him because there was a part of me that was so angry. I wanted to know, who shot him. Did, they get that individual? And, the gunny, from what he told me was, things were handled and, wouldn't have to worry. And, you go through so much at one time. You're hurt, you're angry, you're overwhelmed. And it's like, now I've got to go home and tell his brothers. And how am I going to do this? How do I go back and tell his, at the time, 16-year-old brother.
Yeah.
And his, at the time, 10-year-old brother. Your brother's not coming home.
Yeah.
And, it was one of those situations that when we find out about it, I'm trying to get home to them. And before I could get them out of school, there was already news reporters at the school wanting to talk to them about what happened. And they had no idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, again, our community where we're from is very close-knit because we had already been affected once by 9/11 with Sandy Bradshaw. And so this was, boom, here we are. We've got to stick together. And I was so, thankful for the schools that were down there because they did protect my boys. They didn't let anybody, talk to them. They got them out the back. We got them home to be able to tell them what was going on. And, so we get back home and Jacob didn't want to be buried in Arlington. He wanted to be buried at home. And this is the picture, this is the reality of what we have to see.
Yeah.
That was him. That was,
there you go. Right
my
there.
little boy, my baby, as I tell people, he was my baby boy before he became America's hero.
Yes.
And sometimes I still struggle with that because of things that I see, how people want to still treat our military. Well, how you can't sit here and, praise one and not understand everyone because, you and I have a bond and, we want to protect Lori. We don't ever want her to have to replace that blue star with the gold star. We don't ever want that to happen.
Right.
And so,
Mhm.
you know, for me going from being the mom protective of him, you know, now, you know, I get together with his Marine brothers every year in December. We
Aw.
stay together for a week. So I have like 20 Marines that yeah, this is
Wow.
kind of, so we get together and
Wow.
we talk about them. We love them. They, you know, they tell over the years, they have kind of opened up a little more to tell me about things that happened in that 3 months that I didn't have it.
Yeah.
And that's important. And we look forward to it because when we're all together, it's that brief moment that we all feel like we're whole again. Jacob
Mhm.
is there. We're good. We don't
Yeah.
have to explain ourselves to anybody.
Yeah.
And it's a normal week. That's what
Yeah.
our new normal is right there.
Yeah.
And,
You got your home again. You got the unit again. And that's one of the things that I point out all the time. It's like it is like a movie. A lot of people, I've actually been asked that. Yes, it's like a movie. They do come to your door like that. They do come with the chaplain, every bit of what you see. That is how it happens. And then from there, it's a whole whirlwind of you got to move the military. It's like there is no room to sit down and say, hold on, I can't catch my breath. You have to just go. And the part about the siblings that you're talking about, that's one of the things that, you know, fuels me. There's the siblings. I am so happy to hear that your area is together and stayed on top of that. In this side of the world, one of my children actually got a phone call before me, and it was not the military. It's because we have the digital era where everybody jumps on a machine and they aren't thinking about the impact of what's going to happen. And yeah, I came unglued, literally. I think I literally came unglued. I mean, you should not be going online and putting things out there before a family's notified, number one, and they've had time to absorb that. To me, that angers me that the siblings, they need to have something too, and then so do you. And then the way that it all works, I don't think they still need to do a better job. So I know
I agree. I mean, even my boys, you know, they're like, Mom, you know, you have the Gold Star Mom thing, or they have Children of the Fallen. They're like, but what about the siblings?
Yeah.
You know, we get lost in the crack, and I'll never forget, I was in that funk, that phase, you know, getting back from Germany, and like, you know, it's literally friends coming over and making sure that I had on, you know, underwear and stuff, because I could have cared less at the time. And when I'd go to work and I'd come home, I just wanted to go to bed and, you know, not wake up. And I remember my middle son, Payne, he came into the room and he asked me, what's for dinner? And my response was, there's plenty of food in there. Get whatever you want. I just need to, I don't feel like it. And like I was telling you, there was so much going on in my life at the time, dealing with a divorce, and, you know, that this is happening. And I just remember Payne going, he told me no. And, you know, as a parent,
How old was he?
He was 15. And, you know, you don't like for your kids to tell you no. And I just kind of looked at him like, what did you just say to me?
Yeah.
And he said, no. He said, you're my mom too, and Elijah's mom. He said, we lost a brother. We can't lose our mom too.
Wow.
And, you know, out of the mouths of babes, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, I'm sitting here thinking, he's right. The mom he had is gone, but I still got to be his mom. I can't, he can't lose two at once. And, you know, it was like, well,
you have to
you got to
keep on
put your big
going.
girl panties on and get up and, you know, do the deed. And again, that's probably what shook me out of a lot of stuff was what he said.
Wow. And his
Yeah.
name, so
And-
significant, right?
Yeah.
Pain, right?
Pain. I mean,
Right, really
Like,
though.
what?
Like he really, for being young, right,
Mhm.
was in a lot of it and watching a lot of
Right.
it.
And again, like I was saying, here's Jacob at 20 years old making these decisions and saying things to me that's so grown. And now my 15-year-old is having to be grown and talk to me like that. And,
Good kid.
over the years, it's so crazy. The first thing when Payne turned 21 and he waited one day and he called me, he said, oh no, he was 21 in a few months afterwards. And he called me. I said, what's wrong? And he said, do you know I've lived longer than my brother did?
Oh,
Mm.
wow.
And it was just unreal. And when he had his first child, we were sitting there, the mom was in labor for a long time. And as it was getting closer and they were telling him, probably in the next hour, he started freaking out. I said, what's wrong? He says, she's going to be here and I don't have anybody to tell. And I'm thinking, what am I, a chopped liver? He's like, Jacob should be here. And I'm like, great. Now I've got to fix this problem. So I'm on the phone calling guys at Camp Lejeune and other places. I said, I don't care what you have to do, but somebody better be here when this baby's born. So he's got somebody to tell.
So
And
Aw.
when she was born, he walked out. It was like they were coming in the hospital. It's two of them.
wow.
And he was like, and that was the bond that they had created with Payne. And, like you said, the siblings, they need that.
They
need that connection.
automatically
Not just
do.
me. They've got to have that connection with those individuals. The medic that worked on Jacob, we see him often, and all I want to do when I see him a lot of times is just hold his hands.
Mhm.
Just because I know his hands worked on Jacob.
His hands were with your son, literally.
Right. And, and I look at these guys when they're all asleep and they're on the floor or whatever, and I'm just thinking, wow, Jacob left me with some of the best guys,
Wow.
that I could ever ask for.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it
And-
sounds like his unit, his brothers and sisters in arms really rallied and came to. And so that, I love that part.
We talk about, all that Christmas trees. This is what's really funny that's with me and Lori. So when the guys would come to the house, they all would have the requirement in December is they have to bring an ornament.
Yeah.
So Jacob's favorite thing was Captain America, of course, the Marine Corps, and Tigger. So every year they're bringing in all this stuff. So it finally got to the point where I had 4 Christmas trees up in my house because of the ornaments. We're literally outgrowing, and the boys had their private Christmas trees, and I'm like, I don't know what we're going to do with this, which I could actually donate all the things to you to go on your trees here. But so that particular year when everything had happened, by the time we had did the funeral and gotten back from Germany and all that, it was December the 21st. Now, mind you, his baby brother, the youngest one, his birthday is December the 27th. And at this point, I'm just exhausted. I looked at my Christmas tree. All I had on the tree was lights and 3 presents under the tree that I had bought Jacob. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not going shopping. I don't want to go out. I just want to, just fold inward.
So you don't have dad.
Yeah,
You just go do the shopping.
Yeah, I'm just done. And one of the guys called and asked how things were going. I said, it's not real good. I said, I don't know what to do. Elijah's birthday's coming up and I just don't have it in me. That was probably, the worst thing I could have said to a group of Marines, because they came through, they went out Christmas, but they didn't buy like little cars. They were coming in with the ghillie suits and the bows, the guns and stuff, all this stuff.
It was like toys for
Yeah.
tots, just for them.
Yeah, toys for tactical stuff. Like they were preparing my 2 boys for the apocalypse. And I was like, okay, well, they're, and they were happy, they got all this cool stuff. And I thought to myself, that will never happen again at Christmas. Well, I expect Marines to shop for my boys. I will, if I have to drag myself out there, I will go do the shopping.
Yeah. You ended up with all sorts of tactical and everything else there for Christmas.
Yep. So this here, the Trees of Valor, like I said, it kind of brings us together because that's how I would bring the guys together. Bring your ornaments, and we would put it on the tree. So meaning, and I never thought of it until tonight. It is about a tree. A tree. We come together and we're bringing our families together. And that's,
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that part is beautiful.
And when you think about a tree, it has roots.
It does.
And the roots is what supports everything, and it branches out and it keeps growing. And when I look at those Marines that I see every year for a week, and I see that they've been able to get married, they're having kids, and I'm thinking, this is what Jacob meant. He wanted to be a part of something bigger than he was and to take care of others. And so we do it.
I love that. Everything that you just said. We'll have to talk on back channels because I too had a tree. And forever now, a tree stays up at my house. Someone will walk in. I'm not kidding you. I'm not around many, but they'll go, do you know that you have a little Christmas tree over there? And I'm like, yes, I do. Yes, I am aware of that. So, yes, I do.
And like I was telling Lori, which we've got because I remember getting the information from you when we were in Texas. So with the brewery that I work with, Honor Brewing, for families of the fallen.
Darn it. I knew. I was sitting there going, wait a minute. I think you might be with the brewery.
Yes.
Yes.
Gotta do a plug to that.
Gotta do a plug.
Gotta get a tree in there.
We're going to get a tree up there. And like I said, I know we have your
we had a full conversation.
Yeah,
I saw you and you were wearing something, and so was I. I was wearing Army. Yeah. I always wear it around my neck, and you had something on you, Marines.
And that's how we met. We were sitting in the airport. Yeah, and we were just kind of like across from each other. And I was like, maybe not. And I don't know which one of us said. We're like, are you going to the Gold Star Retreat?
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Yeah. That was my first time.
And you live here.
Well, what's crazy is I know Terry Burgess and them that actually, do the Gold Star Retreat. And we had done some things and some other parents. I just told Terry, I said, I want to come. I said, I want to come to Texas. And he brought me in, and, like I said, we were on the plane together, and that was a wonderful weekend,
Yeah.
It
really was. What is the name of the brewery? Are you still with them?
I'm still with them. I actually get to help the families write the tributes that we put on the wall and stuff. It's Honor Brewing in Chantilly, Virginia.
Yeah.
We have like 3 locations.
We have 3 locations now. We actually brew our own beer now. And
what's the tasting room?
We have a tasting room, a restaurant called Honor Kitchen, and the brewery, which is Honor Brewing. So you go there, you can see them make the beer and have wonderful food. And
now Chantilly is like by private events, right?
Right.
And then the other one, how do you say it? Loudon?
Loudon County or Loudon. It's Fairfax, Virginia is where the Honor Kitchen is. And then the brewery itself with the restaurant, Honor Brewing, is in Sterling, Virginia.
Yes. Amanda, do you remember we're sitting in the airport? I look at you, you look at me, and literally we're like striking up conversation because everybody else is just sitting there. And I knew by looking at you that you were, and I proudly wear my child's picture and my lanyard. It shows Army. I proudly wear it. And but it was my first time to go to something that was going to have other people there like that. And so we got to talking, and ironically, Lori, so she didn't tell me this before, and she does it every time. We got to talking, and I said to you about the siblings, and I said, one day I am going to throw a concert or something, so I'm going to need your beer company, if it keeps growing and you stay with it, and you said,
Yes,
you got
I'm
it.
not going anywhere. Alan would have a very
Yeah.
difficult time getting rid of me. Because,
Well, the
again,
craziest part is that Lori told you that how long it took me. So that was a few years ago.
Yeah.
But
He's
I finally
hey, you just need to let me know. Hey,
27th.
we can make it happen. And
It's September 27th. It's the first one. Terry and them are driving. Yeah, they're driving here. Terry and Beth are both driving here. So it's finally happening. And it's mainly to support the siblings. It's all about sibling scholarship, arts programs.
Of this year?
September 27th.
Just for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Gold Star Family Day. So we want to make awareness. There's like, hey, everybody, there's a day called this day, and it's for survivors of the fallen. We specifically have that on the flyer, and Lori can show it to you. About 22 different artists. We're doing an auction, and we have about 22 artists donating their time in Conroe, Texas, September 27th, which is known as Gold Star Family Day. Now, we would know that, but most people don't have a clue that day has a name attached to it. And that was the whole goal and Amanda.
It sounds like my boss needs to send me to Texas.
It sounds like they do. I need to talk to your boss. But this is the crazy part is I just remember talking to you and saying, I'm going to fix this. I cannot stand the part about the siblings. I like that we're going here, but I have an issue. And I have got to fix it, and I'm going to do it. If I have to go throw my own damn festival, concert, I don't care what it is. I need to know what your beer company is. And she gave me her card in the airport and said, well, it's beer. And I said, yep, works for me. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. We're going to do this. And we ended up at the same retreat.
Isn't it weird that we're doing this
crazy
now, though?
It is, because the date is coming.
I think we can get something down there, if nothing else, for the auction. I think we can get something sent to you.
There you go. I can't believe this is happening.
It was.
I can't believe you didn't tell me, Lori.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know the connection that y'all like.
When you sent me the message, I felt horrible because you said there's a lady that says that she knows you, and I was thinking, and I was like, because nothing else came except there's a lady who's coming on. She's a Gold Star mom, and she says that she met you, and I'm like,
what?
I don't know what you're talking about. And so we haven't had time to get on a phone. Yeah. And now that you've brought it up, and I was staring at you, and I wanted to be respectful of Jacob, so I'm just sitting there staring at you this whole time, like I did in the airport. And I'm like, in my head, I'm going, I actually had a conversation with her about everything that pissed me off about what we need to do, what we can make better. That's what I did. And Lori knows that side of me. She knows the part that if I'm like, okay, we're not going to let this happen anymore. We met in a parking lot, actually. So, I mean, the places that you meet people, and then the timing, like Jacob's timing was always aligned. The timing of when those people come back in your life and you cross paths, there's a reason. And you just gave me like all kinds of chills and goosebumps going all down me. But it is for all the families. It is not just for one. I make sure to say that. And you keep talking about people in groups. So you have so many. And I'm telling you, most of that table, they're not here.
That was when
when we bring up pictures, most of that unit is not here, or there's something severe that happened to them. So it's not just the one, it's the ripple effect that goes through our family, the country. It goes through their brothers and sisters that were serving it, but literally the actual siblings. That part is where I've said, okay, I'm going back to music. That's what I knew. I'm going back to the entertainment side, and I'm going to start writing again. And then I wasn't even doing it when I saw you. I was just like, okay, I've got to figure this out. I was just like, this pisses me off. I'm going to go to something, but I can't bring he's 15 now, but I can't bring him. So I'm like, I want something where you can come, and I want to go to something where you're not like at a funeral and a memorial. I want to be somewhere where I can enjoy. And even if you are sad, that's fine. I mean, big hugs, all of that is welcome. But
Exactly.
always going to something that's like a memorial or a funeral it's not good, and it's not good for the siblings.
Yeah,
So
it will drain you.
it drains you, and I don't want to take my kids to that. So it's a constant reminder. And also you have the flip side, Amanda, that you pointed out because your kid pointed it out. The kids themselves are now missing the mother they had, and they look at you, and they literally look at you and will say, "Are you talking about him again? What about this?" And it makes you, like, as a mom, like, I just went like, oh, like, I think of Wheezy, that show. I can't remember the name of that show right now, but you grab your heart and you're clenching it.
Sanford and Son, yeah.
That one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I literally felt like that when my own kid said that to me, and I was like, whoa, I didn't even realize that was happening.
And with like my boys now who have blessed me with wonderful grandchildren, there's no doubt about it. They a lot of times they don't think moms hear stuff and things. And I heard Payne tell someone one time, because I was, all over the place with the kids, and he just told them, he said, "That's the mom I remember." He said, "That's the way she was with us when we were little, and I see it's coming back." And my grandkid, my granddaughter, when she came along, I have no problem telling people she was a lifesaver, because I had hit that stage of grief that I needed a purpose. I was just like, you're drowning and you can't, pull yourself out, no matter what anybody said, or people are telling you, well, why don't you try counseling? Well, find me a counselor that lost their son in combat and then I can talk to them, because someone just told me, oh, I can't imagine. No, you can't. And so I hear that and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, all these years have I actually deprived my boys of what, and so I've tried to make a little more conscious effort, because both of them they're different. They're like opposite ends of the spectrum. So I'll take, Payne and say, well, hey, let's go. What do you want to go do? And his thing may be completely different than what Elijah does, because Payne is one of those that's his brother. Jacob is his brother. The memories are his.
Yes.
And if he's not comfortable with you and he hasn't known you for a while, he's not going to discuss with you about Jacob, because that's his. Mine don't. And then, of course, I have Elijah, who is as outgoing as I am. And he's like, he's already got his truck decorated for the 9/11 ceremony at their high school tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
He is get ready to turn 24. So he is ready. He's
ready.
Miss a beat when it comes to that. And and I asked Payne, I said, are you going? He says, Mom, I don't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I leave it at that, because his way of honoring Jacob is
his way.
That's his way. I don't pressure him. I don't say, well, you've got to come and do this event with me. People need to see you. He's not that kind. I don't force it, because again, like you said, the siblings, they grieve in a different way than what we do.
And like you said, I've got the ones that are like, they don't even want you to bring it up.
Right.
And then they're like, no, we're not going to bring that up. I had this up. It says, amazing. Amanda Ballard and I met in an airport and spoke about what we need to do for our kids. Literally. I did not prop this up. The producer propped this up. This is Sergeant Two-Step Festival with all of the different bands that are coming together. What we talked about in the airport is this. And this is going to happen now. It came to fruition. It's September 27th from 2 to 12. I would have never brought this up or even shown this to you had we not been in an airport, literally having the conversation. And I sparked it with her about, I promise you, I'm going to do something. I don't know when, but I'm going to figure this out.
That's like, we're going to get these trees. These trees need to be in the White House for Christmas.
Yes, they do. That is
my goal, is to get Lori's trees in the White House.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I'm on that
Folks,
list
if you're
too.
listening, we
Yeah.
got trees. Melina,
Yes.
we got trees.
We have trees of all different types too, not even just the trees behind you, but I keep a lot of that in here for the show, for everything that's going on over there. Because you mentioned about the Vietnam War, there's the Vietnam War tribute. You were talking about that. We also want to talk about the chairs, not sure the chair service. I got to bring it up because that's at the Tree of Valor. But that one is Lori and I. That's when we met in the parking lot. And then a sibling is in that picture. And so she knew me too because of the same reason we talked about in a parking lot. And then we've got our Apache current active duty soldier who's been honoring all of his life. So between all of us, my goodness, we're going to have to talk on back channels, literally.
Yeah.
I can't believe this. I'm like, I literally did have that whole conversation in the airport. And then, to be
And
honest,
that was
with you,
what, three?
it's probably
3
3 years ago.
About 3
I
years
bet
ago,
it
yeah.
was. Yeah, I bet it was 3 years ago because I had to handle some things and take care of my health and do some other things. So, I knew it was probably about 3 years ago. And then I ran into Lori maybe 2 years ago, something like that. Yeah.
Not this summer.
Or is it a year ago? Yeah, it
Yeah.
probably isn't even 2 years. So, but like your picture here with you, I like this here. And then your picture with Lance Corporal Jacob Levy here on the picture, the Gold Star parent, and you and what you're doing in remembrance, and that you are still to this day with Honor Brewery, literally.
On the roof. Yep.
Yeah.
She also does.
Yeah.
She also does something else though. She needs to talk about her powwow.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
that one
we need to do that.
Well, that picture there,
That's so important.
the picture, that particular picture was at our powwow. I was carrying, of course, the Gold Star flag.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to do something because our outfits, of course, our regalias, you can't go to Walmart and buy them. So they're all handmade. And so the idea of trying to figure out what to do to honor Jacob and different things. So that one particular dress, of course, I have all the branches of the military on the back, and it's a jingle dress. It has the metal cones on it and it's made strictly with the Gold Star flag on it. So,
cool.
And then I have another regalia that I made, and it has our tribal design, which is like a pine cone patchwork, and all the patchwork and patches and things on it are made from Jacob's uniforms.
Ooh.
So it's
Wow.
little pieces of it folded into, and it's it looks like a pine cone, but it's his dress blues, his Charlies, his camis. His patches from his uniforms are on my sleeves, and I got part of his dress blue jacket that I carry a picture in my pocket so people can see it. So when I'm out there, he's with me when I'm dancing.
Oh, wow. I love that. I would
So
love,
my next dress
love,
that's in
love
the
to see
works
that.
is I am collecting dog tags of our fallen, because my next dress will be made with their dog tags on it for me to dance. So
Okay.
that's
I'm
the
actually
goal.
customizing dog tags literally for the event. So I'll remember that. I literally am pricing them right now. So I will.
I'm going to do my best to be in Texas in a couple
Yeah.
weekends.
Yeah. Well, Lori has the information, and we needed help. We literally do, like, especially because Lori won't be here. She'll be there.
It's Lexi's 16th birthday.
Yeah.
I'm devastated. So I need a person to go down there and.
Well, I will definitely make sure that if nothing else, you have something from Honor Brewing
Well,
there to auction
it's a
off.
crazy story. This is, it's not crazy. It's good because your son, my son, were in an airport looking all around, and I immediately spotted and said, I knew it immediately because we
They were doing their
had
little
her
work
stuff.
in heaven. Okay, moms, y'all got to meet up and
So
start chit chatting.
you want to hear
And
something
it was
else?
a little airport, y'all. It wasn't like it
have
was
to
a
hear how
large
weird-
airport.
You have to hear how weird this is. Just tonight, I was standing like over there, and I
Mhm.
thought to myself, Tracy never talks about her concert in our podcast, and I don't know why. And I'm like, tonight I'm going to make sure we talk about that concert, right? I
Well,
literally
it
said
came
that.
up because of Amanda.
But
Well,
we
he's
talked-
got some buddies
we
in
talked about
Texas,
it.
so I'm gonna have to definitely send them to the concert. Some of his
Yeah, we
Marine buddies
Amanda and
live in
I
Texas.
spoke about it, and then Lori and I have spoken about it because we met at a music event, and I was like, "Damn it, I'm going to have to get back in the industry and do something about this because nobody understands what to do out there for the siblings." And my child was with me, and I do not. That's a no. That's just no. You do not mess with the kids. Like all the
Don't mess
gloves
with the
come off.
babies.
Yeah, do not mess with them. So we clicked instantly in an airport. There you have Lance Corporal Jacob Levy, literally on tonight with you, Amanda, his mother. I look to you. I look up to you. I remember talking to you, and you're talking about what you were doing, and I was like, I'm going to get there, but I got to get the siblings something done. And mostly it was because, in attendance, my youngest, he's very mature for his age. And I in my heart thinking, man, I could have brought him. Like Lori got to meet him, but Lori can attest to this. He sat over pretty much by himself the whole time. It was very odd for a person to be there like a kid. And it's a bunch of adults. It's just like not the world where, they want to be. So it needs to be a different type of environment. We've got to create that environment, and we've got to start doing something about it. So instead of talking about it, like, dang it, we're doing it. So Amanda, I'm so glad that we've had you on. I hate that we do not have Jacob. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul there. Beautiful family, your whole family. And I thank you for coming on with Patriots Inside the Wire and the Tree of Valor. Your family to us, literally from the airport to my home at any time for me to talk to someone in an airport like that, especially then. So I'm so glad to have you on. And I just want everyone out there to remember and watch this. And they're looking at us, two moms and Lori over there and a mom. We're going, we don't have our kids. How the hell are they laughing? After telling that story. And I know that some people are thinking that, and it's like, because we have to, you don't understand. Like, if you knew the spirit of our kids, mine would be kicking me in the side, literally, like, come on.
And the thing about it, it was such a tragedy, but look at all the wonderful things that have come about it. I've met you, Lori, and we're constantly doing stuff, and they only die when we stop saying their names. We're talking about them.
We have to continue to remember. We have to continue to unite. We have to be strong. We have to stick together. Just like I said in the opening of the show, what's going on out there needs to stop. Take a moment and reflect. Life is super short. You've got about 30 seconds in every day when someone's going to make a decision that is the wrong decision. It could be an accident or on purpose, and it will change your life forever. And you don't want to be that person. You don't want to be it. So take a deep breath, slow down, enjoy the moments we do have, and then let's make a difference. Let's turn around and do something about that. And that is what we're doing. So the Sergeant Two-Step Foundation, the Sergeant Two-Step Festival has just recently come along. So Lori talking about, I would never have brought it up on this show, but we have a different show, Amanda. I went back to music, which makes me happy. And the show, like being able to bring you on and talk to you about life, and Jacob and your whole family, and Lori at the Tree of Valor, I keep her here. She's not allowed to go anywhere. So the Tree of Valor.
Shout out to Lexi because
I was going to go there. Yeah, we're running out of time, so we have to. So for Lexi, Mrs. Lexi, I always do. Let me see what I've got in here. I've got several. I know Lori's always like, I'm going to get you a different picture, but it's got the flag, and that's what she really loves. So I love that one. And then I have some more in the other section of our studio. So Lexi's never, ever, ever not mentioned, and she's always a part. We always make sure that her name is said multiple times, not just once. So all for Lexi. You've got to make sure Lexi's out there. I'm going to be closing us up here, Amanda. Okay. They're giving me the clock that it's running down. I can do one of two things. Lori, we can say goodnight, or I can do a song. And it's only because when she met me, I told her I was going to do it. I hadn't done it yet.
We're going to let you do a song.
Oh, you are?
You got the missing, okay. Did you do Missing Christmas or one of those? Remember that? Since you like
the Missing Christmas, I don't have in here. Let me look. I know what you're thinking about. You're thinking about Empty Chair at the Table.
Yeah.
Is that what you want? Or do you want Raise Up Your Glasses or Flag? The flag is the upbeat. She's going to recognize the words.
Yeah, I think we should do the flag because, like we said, it's 9/11.
Angry song.
Yeah. And we want everybody to remember 9/11 on 9/12, 9/13.
You do the flag.
That or it send me a sign.
It'd be a good birthday song for Jacob. Jacob's birthday was this past Friday. He would have been 35. Hard to believe.
What was the
well, I'm letting you all decide. I've got Flag, Best of Us. I've got Whisper.
What was the other choice?
Send Me a Sign, Flag, Empty Chair at the Table. I think that's Lori's favorite. Flag is a heavy one that Billy Ray Cyrus got on the guitar with, and Uncle Rhino as well. I'm going to go ahead and play that because we're running out of time, and I want Amanda to have that. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. And this is from the help of my co-host and Billy Ray Cyrus on guitar, and it's called Flag.
Stood so tall, now the silence where he used to call. They handed me a flag, folded and tight. Said it's for the brave, said it's for the fight. But I don't need a symbol, don't need the lines. I just want my son, I want back my time. I got a flag, but I want my son. Tears on my face, but the world moves on. Why do they keep acting like nothing's wrong? I'm screaming inside while they play their songs. I got a flag, but I want my son. The sky's still blue, but it feels so gray. Every step I take drifts further away. The boots he wore, now they just sit. I can't touch his face, can't handle it. He fought for a dream, for the red, white, and blue. But the cost of freedom, they never tell you. A mother's heart breaks, it'll never heal. While the world keeps turning like it's no big deal. I got a flag, but I want my son. Tears on my face, but the world moves on. Why do they keep acting like nothing's wrong? I'm screaming inside while they play their songs. I got a flag, but I want my son. They don't see your face when they salute. Don't feel the holes in my roof. They talk about honor, they talk about pride. But who's gonna hold me when I cry at night? The world's so loud, but it feels so cold. A hero story, but it left me alone. Tell me why the brave have to die so young. I got a flag, but I want my son. I got a flag, but I want my son. Tears on my face, but the world moves on. Why do they keep acting like nothing's wrong? I'm screaming inside while they play their songs. I got a flag, but I want my son. He took the oath, he gave his life, and I lost my hope. Folded tight in my trembling hands, a piece of cloth I don't understand. I got a flag, but I want my son. my hope. Fold it tight in my trembling hands. A piece of cloth I don't understand. I got a flag, but I want my son. I'm just a mom who wants her baby back.
There you have it, Amanda.
I need that.
That's
Going to become my new anthem song.
There you go. There you go. I've got it on my site, the Two-Step Tribe. So Two-Step Tribe, the number 2, twosteptribe.com. We'll connect. We're going to sign off for now and say it's nice to be with you all. And remember what we said at the beginning of the show from Patriots Inside the Wire and the Tree of Valor. Please unite, stand together, and understand that life is short. And remember those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for what you are doing right now, whether it's speaking, your actions, and everything that you do. We're asking you to come together and unite, because you do realize really fast that life is way too short. It is not worth it. We hope that you hear us. We hope that you know that we see you, as Lori would say, and understand from the bottom of our hearts, for all of us, we just want us all to be connected, united, and bring forward a positive change that will create change for the siblings and the whole family out there. Lori, I'm going to sign off. Amanda, it has been great having you on. Me talking to the lady in the airport, Amanda, who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Yeah.
Who would have thought? Yes, but I could see this two-step with Jacob up there, literally.
That's right.
I'm going to connect the lady that wants the concert and the lady that does beer in an airport.
There you go.
I love it. Amanda, this has been great. Lori, you did it again. I don't know how, but you always do this to me. So I'm going to sign us out here and say to everyone out there, take a look. Just look around, give your kids an extra hug, and be kind. Be kind to others out there. You never know. You just never know what's going on in someone else's life. So we want you to always remember right there, Lance Corporal Jacob Levy. That's Levy, by the way, for his last name there. You need to always remember and never forget, ever. And that is Amanda, his mother there. So we're going to say we're signing off here, and you've got a flag too, Amanda. So we'll take our flag, but we still would like to have our child. That's what we mean. We still like. All right, we're signing off. Thank you for joining us.
This has been a Patriots Inside the Wire production. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Two-Step Tribe, where you, the viewer, are always the rock star of this show. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share. We cannot do this without you. Your uncle says so, and you are loved and appreciated. Sergeant Two-Step, sign us out. Let's load up and roll out.